Welcome back to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. We are talking all things cybersecurity. We are actually getting into specific examples. And Jim, I'm going to ask you, you have a sort of a catbird seat there, looking across various agencies and quite frankly, across the private sector as well. What are you seeing from Fortinet in regards to a specific program that you'd like to highlight?
So, Luke, we typically don't name specific agencies because of the NDA, but let me tell you what we've done for not one, but for several large agencies that have nationwide operating footprints. We've helped them implement programs that accelerated their migration to the cloud and the ability to let remote users use SaaS. The challenge was they had legacy wide area network architectures that required routing all the internet-bound traffic through a centralized location. So I'm a remote user in the field. I want to go to the internet, but my traffic has to be routed back either through headquarters or through a branch office out to the internet, and then in reverse, what we call the trombone effect, out and back. So we help them implement secure SD-WAN technology that let these remote users directly go to the internet for SaaS applications. And because branch offices still mattered, the agency was still able to centrally manage and configure this. So this is a win-win situation. They got improved security because these networking devices are also next generation firewalls. Users were happier because you could set the internal service level agreement to prioritize the kind of collaborative platform we're on. So the latency was fine for this, other things in the background slowed down instead. So, the users are happier, the agencies get increased visibility into what's going on, including encrypted traffic. These platforms had the capability to support zero trust. It was easier to certify compliance. I don't think there's a CISO out there who doesn't say they spend a whole lot of time checking those boxes on compliance. And it also enabled automation and the ability to support incident response playbooks. So we thought that was a big win. It looked like something that was really about updating just networking technology and architectures, but it actually markedly increased their capabilities in cybersecurity as well.
Yeah, and that losing that trombone effect or hairpin or whatever you want to call that tightens up the performance as well. And I'm sure everyone is appreciative of that. Janelle, how about at USDA? You got a lot of moving parts going on over there. Give us a specific example of a program you'd like to highlight.
Yeah, so the program that comes to mind is our enterprise security logging and monitoring program. That's benefited greatly from our cybersecurity modernization efforts. And I say that because we have established a standardized maturity model for event log management, which is extremely valuable because now we're able to benchmark and measure against something. So that's invaluable. So our project is providing us near real-time analytics of our logging and how our enterprise is doing and functioning. And this is both for cybersecurity and IT operational needs. And also just going back to this overall risk management theme and strategy is helping us with that as well as we integrate and move forward with this overall department-wide risk approach. So that's one of the highlights. We have many more, but that's the main one I'd like to.
Of course, and a very important one, no question about that. So hats off to you for that implementation. Zafar, how about at Databricks? Again, you have a very unique position there, striped across several different agencies. Give us an example of a program that you'd like to highlight.
Yeah, sure. So in the public sector, we have a number of publicly referenceable customers, such as the DoD, which are rolling out lakehouses. More on the business side of things, so for business use cases. So in the DoD, the Office of the Chief Digital and AI Office, what they're doing is they're centralizing and acquiring data from hundreds of different enterprise data sources to decrease the time to insight for their data scientists and data analysts. On the cybersecurity side, we're more in the piloting of the cybersecurity lakehouse initiatives with a number of agencies in the public sector. Essentially, our existing customers using Databricks for business use cases are now looking into leveraging us for cybersecurity as well. And there's been interest in leveraging our platform to handle the logging side of the zero trust architecture. particularly due to the beefed up logging requirements of last year's OMB M21-31. Because that mandate was unfunded, many organizations were left scrambling to figure out how to, be able to store and analyze their larger data sets, given the high cost of these legacy SIMs. So our price performance makes us particularly appealing there for customers that are already using us for business data. We use low-cost cloud object storage to store all our data within our platform. So like Amazon S3 or Azure ADLS. And we don't license to store your data. You just pay the underlying cloud provider. We license just based on processing and compute. And so it's a very cost-effective model for cybersecurity logs. And our data format is also open source. So that's also very appealing to our customers. And then on the commercial side, we're seeing great adoption for cybersecurity lakehouses among enterprises. And one of our customers there is a cybersecurity or a large financial services company that talked about their cybersecurity use case last month at Data and AI Summit. And they're ingesting a tremendous amount of data, 100 to 200 petabytes of or terabytes of data per day. And they're storing that data for up to a year. So they can go back and look at, their logs up to a year. And they have, 40 to 50 terabytes searchable. So pretty impressive scale that only a few technology companies were operating at only a few years ago.
Very efficient capability, no question about that. So we really appreciate it. Shane, you all are doing multi-cloud. You've got all kinds of virtual interviews for benefit seekers, et cetera. A lot of different aggressive postures going on both the technology side and the business requirements side. No question, you have a lot of different examples here. Give us one that you'd like to highlight that just sort of rings the bell that you all are super proud of.
Well, first off, I have to do this because this is a bucket list item for me. Mike, I really want to go to the moon. And if you can arrange for me to get a flight, man, hey. I will, you can have my firstborn. Well, you probably want the secondborn actually, but
but you're only going to be able to do it after me because I want to go too.
Luke, we'll do it together.
All right, I'm with you. I'm ready to go.
So, there's so much going on. It's hard to keep track of it all. And I think really, if one of the things I think we're most proud of, and one of the things we're really just driving forward, which has just become one of our saving graces, has been the security automation programs that we've been implementing. We fell into security automation, I say, primarily because of an incident that we had. Kind of dodged a bullet on one of our cloud systems, learned a lot of really valuable lessons, hard lessons, painful lessons, very sleepless night lessons, but lessons nonetheless. And we walked away from that realizing that, cloud is wonderful in all kinds of ways, but one of the things that enables is this whole concept of security automation. And not only can you automate the alert, but you can also automate your response. And this was sort of an eye-opening moment. Now, this occurred 5, 6, almost 7 years ago now. And we spent about 2 years failing at it, really. I mean, we really didn't have, we figured all the ways you're not supposed to do it.
Right, you fail, you learn, right?
It's the agile methodology that we employ here. And in doing so, we crafted and started building out a program. Now, one of the things that we found that was even more valuable is the ability to show a return on investment. In other words, we could demonstrate, hey, if we invest X number of dollars into this program, we can show you with real dollar values how much automation is saving us in labor hours and in costs. And I think in the first year, and we thought we were, by the way, rocking the world when we did this, well, it was actually the third year. In the third year, I think we managed to carve out about $600,000 in automation savings. Now, that's not really a savings, but it's an opportunity. It's things that we're no longer having to invest our time and energy into, and allows us to focus on other things. So it's sort of a different way to look at it. But we thought we were rocking the world. But jump forward to today, and this year, I think we're going to probably push about 28 million in automation savings. That means that every time we generate an automation, we calculate how much labor hours that would have spent doing that, and then you have an ongoing live dashboard of tracking. I actually have a way I can go in and look at it, tell you what it is exactly minute to minute. But then we realized, this was great for the SOC, but automation had to be bigger. It just had to. The program, the cybersecurity program was bigger than just the SOC. So we started looking at risk. We started looking at governance. And I'm also very lucky as a CISO to own identity security. I own the ICAM program for USCIS. And so we started looking across the board about how we tie automation into all those programs, doing the exact same thing we did with the SOC. Because, if you think about it, when you're like USCIS, as I mentioned before, is about 90, actually, I could probably make the argument for 95% cloud. If your infrastructure is code, well, your security is code too. So that means that we began investing heavily in development teams for the security. So if you walk into my SOC, you have your security analyst sitting on the floor, and you also have a development team sitting on the floor. They sit side by side because they are of equal value. My risk program has development teams associated with it. My governance program has development teams associated with it. My ICAM program is all development. And so integrating that level of automation and bringing that together to break down the silos between even in security programs have a terrible habit of creating silos within themselves. Using those automated tools to break that down. We're actually in the process of automating all of our risk management. We're a heavy user of ongoing authorization. Every system we have is an ongoing authorization. And it's a very heavy lift, both in terms of manual processes. So we started automating that. We're actually in the process of automating governance so that I'm tired of PDF documents. There's no reason for us to be doing it that way. We want to be able to automate and generate a security plan. Why couldn't we do that? And so we're close to doing that. I think just the recent release of OSCAL, the Open Security Controls Assessment Language, protocols that have come out that are going to allow for machine learning for a lot of our security documentation is just a huge win. So we're in the process of implementing that as part of our automation program. So, and not only that, if you think about it going forward, especially if you want to do zero trust, zero trust is all about going to the transaction level. The only way you're going to do that is with automation. And getting your feet wet and doing it, in small bits and bites as you go along and kind of eating at that elephant with one small bite at a time is really the most successful way. Now, I wish we could say we were so smart and so forward thinking that we planned it this way. We didn't. We fell into it. But the reality is now as I kind of reflect back over the last 6 years and the value that that's adding to my overall security program and allowing me to do things that other security programs are struggling with because of that, I recognize the value that security automation has played in my overall program. It's really allowed us to push the envelope in a number of different areas.
Yeah, no doubt. And I noticed that the other agencies also talked about automation. It's like automate or die, right? It's kind of
very true.
We're going to roll over to priorities here, and we're going to talk about top 2 or 3 priorities. I always like to touch on those. Janelle, I'm going to start with you. You have a lot of different things going on over there. Give us your top 2 or 3 priorities that you've got cooking for this year.
So, well, the number one priority, I think over this year and next year is to move up the maturity stack for all of our cybersecurity requirements. Of course, we're working on zero trust and architecture, and I think beat that to death, But one of the key things that's going to be really important for us is expanding our cybersecurity service offerings across the department. This year, we established cybersecurity service line items that cover network security, enterprise security monitoring, logging, vulnerability and compliance management, system security, phishing and pen testing, and security enterprise incident response and threat intelligence. So we have very discrete line items. We offer them as a service to our missions. And we also have a blanket purchase agreement in place that's going to help us with that as well. So, if people need a cybersecurity service and they need contractor support to do that, they should be able to go to the BPA and issue a task order and go on their merry way. So, so really just making life easier from a cybersecurity perspective for folks to get their services that they need. And then also continue our collaboration with our federal executive branch partners. We work a lot with DHS CISO on a lot of things and collaborate with some of the CISOs on a regular basis. I see I need to hook up with Shane to get some more information on his automation. But those are our priorities over the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, and I love the collaboration that's going on that Mike pointed out there. I think that's really important. When you band together, you're able to fight the good fight, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Zafar, we're going to talk about priorities there. what are the priorities from where you sit? What's the demand signal that you're seeing there that you're addressing over the course of this year?
Yeah, sure. So one of our biggest investments and priorities is we're investing into delivering a FedRAMP High and IL4 and IL5 accredited SaaS platform. So a lot of our our existing customers there, they use a heavier deployment model where they essentially take our SaaS platform and deploy it into their cloud account and manage that themselves to make things easier and to deliver more value quickly to those customers. We're looking to get them migrated over to our full SaaS platform offering. And then, so we're making a big investment there. We have over 800 engineers in the company, and this migration is going to impact all those various different teams that they work on. And then we're also looking to open source some of our internal cybersecurity tooling that we use for our own cybersecurity lakehouse to help our customers adopt lakehouses much faster for cybersecurity use cases. So things like parsers and machine learning models that we've trained on our data internally help our customers adopt some of those.
I really do appreciate that FedRAMP High, so important. Jim, we're going to go to Mike, and we're going to ask you about top priorities for NASA for you this year. You've got a lot of different moving parts going on there, major activity at NASA, as with all the agencies. Top priority for you, Mike.
Yeah, so actually we just did a major reorg on our cybersecurity at NASA, and that went into effect actually on April the 24th of this year. So we're about 90 plus days into our massive reorg. We're really taking it from the standpoint of moving away from I'll call a federated approach to an enterprise approach as far as implementing cybersecurity across our enterprise from that standpoint. And so we're really kind of focusing in on pushing that in over the next, I'll call it several years, but really the next 1 to 2 is key as we roll out, new teams, new roles and responsibilities in the way that we're delivering, I'll call it services. Janelle kind of touched on that. We have a cyber security service line that we put into effect about 3 years ago. But underneath this realignment, we're really pushing to add more service delivery capabilities into that we offer out as the entire enterprise can take advantage of, including on our mission side, such as ISO as a service, our pen testing, phishing, all of this other stuff around it, and as well as for A&A to make sure that we help them when they set up their system security plans, as they manage POAMs and risk-based decisions on their end. Around that is really helping to provide that level of service. One of the other things that we've kind of stood up as part of my team in this reorg was we stood up a mission integration team. And what we're doing with it is as many times the fun job of the CISO is the oversight to make sure compliance is being done around that, right? And unfortunately, our customers don't really like the word compliance, right? So we've really set up this one team here is they're partners. They're not there to do compliance on there. They're not there to do the oversight on them in any way, shape, or form. We're embedding cybersecurity engineering expertise into our mission, parts of our missions to basically help and guide them, advise them, be almost that partner consultant to them to help them make wise decisions going forward. And as they see gaps or whatever, to help basically talk them through that, guide them through that. Again, they're not there to do compliance on that staff. They're really to be at the table with them to help guide them and be a partner in them. That's something new that we stood up. We did a pilot on that over the past year with the Artemis program, and it turned out tremendous. So now we're basically pushing it enterprise-wide so that we take advantage of across it with all of our missions and researchers around that. So that's really one of the big things that we're really doing over the next 2 years.
Sounds like some very key partnership going on there, which is great. I always say, put the clipboard down. Let's start partnering with the operators. All right, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network.